We've been joined by Dr. Sundus in the studios, who is a foreign affairs analyst. Along with that, on Skype, we've been joined by Osama Muhammad Nazal, Palestinian journalist from Jenin. Thank you both for your time and being part of the conversation. I'll start off from Dr. Sundus. With regards to this Arab summit, do you think a more concerted effort needs to be put in with all the like-minded countries? We know that even in the European countries, there were countries that called out India, called out Israel for their brutalities, and they even stopped diplomatic ties with them. Do you think a more unified approach needs to be taken, and there needs to be other organizations like the OIC that also comes into effect, and a joint framework be established to curb Israel's atrocities?
I think the coming summit is itself a very positive gesture. This is conveying a very strong impression to the whole world that the Muslim countries are finally on one page, and this conveys a very strong message to the international community that we are not scattered or we are not shattered and we are on one page. So I think we should stay hopeful with this upcoming summit, and we should not say any negative things about this, that this is not going to be successful. The commencement of the summit itself is a very positive gesture, I believe, right? So finally and luckily, after this 1-in-8 we have seen many horrible scenes that they had, like even snipers, or they had tracks even on the hospitals and the kids and all that stuff. So after that horrible 1 year, the summit, that the old Muslim Valorant page itself is a very positive gesture. And as far as the reconstruction thing is concerned, so I think 55 billion, according to the UNESCO report, needs to be done in the next 1 year. They need like 53 around billion US dollars in order to reconstruct the whole Gaza densely populated strip. But still, the ceasefire is not as it was supposed to be. As I just said, Israel is still having the attacks on the refugees camp, and it's still bombarding and all that stuff. So in this scenario, when they're not fulfilling all the points of the ceasefire, but Hamas is doing, actually Hamas is fulfilling the points, Hamas is sacrificing, compromising, as I said, but not Israel is not doing. As recently he met with Benjamin Netanyahu, he's met with the US top diplomat, America, and they said they talk about on this bold vision on the reconstruction. And once again, Israeli PM has given this bold statement that US president is again one of the strongest ally. He used to give the same statement about the Joe Biden. Now he's saying in the White House, Trump is the bestest friend ever for the. So he's keep on giving such remarks about the US presidents. So in this scenario, when US and we see the US and Israel strong as in strongest ally. So I think this is the commencement of this summit itself is a very positive gesture and is conveying very strong image to the international community.
But Dr. Sundus, do you think when we talk about Israeli atrocities and the Israeli actions, there's been voices from all over the world with regards to Israel not having any respect or regard for international law or norms. Do you think them violating the ceasefire agreement should be taken to court?
But there would be of no use. We all know that. I mean, but again, I'd say that when we try something, when we struggle something, or when we talk about something on social media and in our programs, it does matter. It is enough to convey certain message, though we know it will be successful or not. But talking about such stuff, combining all Arab world together is a self-conveying very strong message. I think we should continue conveying such messages to international community that we are standing with our Palestinian brothers and sisters.
Well, definitely diplomatic and moral efforts are always with the Palestinians. Dr. Sundus, what Israel is doing in Palestine and what India is doing in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, when we talk about the models that they're following, it's of a very similar nature. Both of them have been called open-air prisons of the world. But still, we see that despite the world community calling it ethnic cleansing, despite the world community calling it genocide, there's not a framework that stops such acts of ethnic cleansing or genocide. Do you think there needs to be more work to stop such acts in the first place, and so that there could be a framework to hold those who pursue such acts be held accountable?
Unfortunately, there are two different worlds. Not the whole world thinks the same as you're talking about. The other part of the world since think that the US and the Israel has their command and can secure the Gaza territory, as India mistakenly thought that they can secure Kashmir. So unfortunately, there are two types of the world. So we live in the first part of the world, those who think that it's open prison. So these are the horrible, I would say, the clash of ideas. You know, and that's why we always say we cannot counter terrorism because your freedom fighter might be my terrorist and my terrorist can be your freedom fighter. That's what is happening over here. The freedom fighters of Kashmir and the freedom fighter of the Palestinian are the same because they are fighting for their freedom. But the monopoly of Indian monopoly and the US monopoly and the Israeli monopoly is a thought they can easily secure through ethnic cleansing or by displacing people or reconstructing someone's land by snatching, by adopting, by replacing people. So isn't that easy to replace someone? Isn't that easy to reconstruct someone else's land just you want to secure your oil? Maybe you have your hidden agendas because they think it's a good place for oil, because they think, gone are the days when these Jews and Christians had this rivalry, but when it comes to oil, when it comes to gold, when it comes to Kashmir land, they forget everything. So that's why there is we live unfortunately in the bipolar world where there is an extremism in one part and extremism in another part. So if things will continue go on in the same way, there would be no solution. There will be war after war and war after war. Policies will remain on the paper, and on the field we can only see the war, the fights and all that stuff. So ceasefire doesn't work like this. When Hamas is ready to do so, the one party is ready to do the ceasefire, when one party is dying to do whatever is required to do in order to stop this war and all that stuff. But the first party, the first US and the Israel, they don't want to do that. They are not even taking Hamas seriously. They still think in the dictionary Hamas is a terrorist organization. So how can we expect them to listen to this terrorist organization? This is in the top one dictionary in the index. This is the top 4 terrorist organization. That's why they are not on one page. Conversation and communication and conflict resolution starts with the communication when the both parties think that they are with equal standing. So when one party thinks that the other party is a terrorist group, and why should we listen to this terrorist party? So things can go in a very horrible way, and
Definitely.
I don't think so there would be any peaceful resolution. We can only wish and pray, but again, hope is not a strategy. So let's see.
Well, definitely important points raised.